Hey, Natasha.
Hey Claire,
It's been a while.
it's
I
been
feel
a
like I
while.
haven't seen you in like a month. We've
Well,
both been busy beginning of the school year, but what have you been up to?
yeah, also started, my kids are now kindergarten and second grade, which is fun. Yeah, it's cool because now they're at the same school again, like they were at daycare and now they get to be together at elementary school. So I'm dealing with all the, kindergarten drama and Remy and just, it's been fun.
There's kindergarten drama.
Well, it's just like what friends that she wants to play with, and then
Oh,
like certain people. So her birthday is the weekend that school started. So they'd been in school for 3 days and then she had her birthday, which is kind of an awkward time because we were just coming back from Boston, didn't really have connected with all the parents. Turned out amazing. We just put birthday invitations in her backpack on Friday. So it's like third day of school. And then most of her class showed up to the birthday party because they were like, it's like a back to school bash. It was like a chance to meet all the other
oh,
parents. Yeah. But it was just kind of funny who she wanted to play with. And just like she was, you know how you kind of get your little groups, right? And so she's like best friends with this one. And they gave her like a best friend bracelet
oh,
then
wow.
this kid, right? And so we're trying to teach like everyone together. But how do you do that at a birthday party? And so I was putting on my like teacher hat during the when we have the cake and we blow the candles and all the kids are just sitting there and it's so cute. And I was like, hey, let's go around because everybody doesn't even know each other's name. Let's say our name. And I was trying to think of something fun, like your favorite animal. Okay. This is why I will never be a kindergarten teacher. It was the most painful, like, I don't know how long, but like, kid one is just like, well, I like this animal, but and then it was a whole rambling thing. And then kids over here are totally bored, and this one's crying, and this one's running away, this one's trying to eat all the cake. You know, it was entertaining, but also very chaotic. And then they're like upset, like, that's my favorite animal, not it can't be your right. Yeah. So then I
Yeah,
thought it would be a great idea to do group photo, which was another fun adventure, was to try to get all of the kids in a photo. And one just stormed off and was like over it because we were taking too long to take it. And I was like, kindergarten teachers, you guys are amazing. I don't know how you put up with this. This is like too much for me to handle.
yeah, the struggle is real. I remember the first year I taught, and I had kindergarten, and I had them all try to work together as a class to build a fort out of cardboard.
Oh.
That was an absolute disaster. If you can only imagine, because I gave all of them, fortunately, I didn't give them all scissors. I gave them clever cutters so they can't hurt themselves with it. But still, they're just like ripping everything to shreds, and like everybody had like a favorite piece, and then somebody else was, tearing it. And oh, oh, it was so bad. I think there was maybe one kid that didn't cry, and I just when their teacher came back, I was like, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." So,
All I
just
could do is apologize.
maybe next time it'll be better. But here you go. You can take them back.
Yeah. I'm just like so amazed at kindergarten teachers that have the 20 kids in a class, and you have to, how do you get them to listen? And they probably all want to talk at the same time and are constantly raising their hand, asking questions, want to go to the bathroom and go get a drink, and like just thinking of what happens in my house with one of them, you know?
Right.
So
Yes.
thank
So
you to
thank
all
you,
our kindergarten
kindergarten
teachers.
teachers, for your sacrifice.
Yeah. I I don't know how you do it, but I'm sure that's another question like we've had a lot is how do you do STEM in kindergarten, right? And what that means. And so that's a whole other topic.
Yeah. Yeah. I think preparation is key with any class, but especially with little kids, because you got to move fast because their attention spans are so short. And you're trying to focus on what is going to be their takeaway of this. And you don't want it to be a craft, and you want them to be creative. So I think figuring out or understanding that for different age groups, you're getting something different out of it. So you shouldn't be aiming for kindergartners to take away some engineering science knowledge that a seventh grader is going to take away from a project, right? So I think having those expectations be realistic is probably the most valuable skill of a teacher.
I agree. Okay, can you be my therapist for a minute?
Oh,
I want you to
please.
help me unpack this. So I have through Vivify, and we've done like baby science videos, right? And like
Yeah.
our whole identity is around being Vivify STEM and these like STEM enthusiasts. And so I remember baby showers, like with Madeline and Remy, I would get like all the baby aerospace engineering books, not like me, people would give them to me,
Mhm.
or it'd be like space themed everything, right? And then whenever Madeline and Remy met some friends on a street, they're like, yeah, our mom does like science experiments. And they're like, oh, can you do science experiments for us and all that? So here's my struggle. As a kid, and like most of my like childhood, I wasn't a science person. Like that's not what I did for fun. What I did for fun was arts and crafts. Like I loved drawing and coloring, music, I play piano. And so I'm having this internal struggle because when I want to spend time with my kids, I want to do art and crafts, right? But then my STEMist side, right? Like the brand that we have is like, I got to do a science experiment. It has to be really good. And now I have this reputation on the neighborhood, right? Like there was a grandparent that came up and was like, are you the rocket lady? I'm like, how do I get this reputation? Help me, Claire. Help me unpack this.
I totally feel you because I also am in that role in my community as the rocket scientist, right? The astronaut. Do you ever get called an astronaut? And I
Mm-hmm.
don't correct them because I'm like, sure, yeah,
Work for NASA. I'm like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah. It's just because they don't know any better. They don't really know me that well, I guess. But so what I would do, because I also love doing the arts and crafts things with my kiddos, and they also weren't really enthusiastic about the science experiments I wanted them to do all the time. So I would do like special event days. So like around Easter, I did like an egg theme in the park. Let's do some egg science with like all the community kiddos, all the neighborhood kids. And we would like walk across the big pallet of eggs that you can buy. I know they're really expensive right now, so maybe that's something we shouldn't talk about. But you can buy the big pallet of eggs just to walk on them and they don't break. And so you can demonstrate that. And it's more like not really having a STEM class where you're explaining how the phenomenon works and everything. It's more just getting them curious and experiencing it. And then, of course, the questions will come, especially with some older kids. Uh, But we also did like you can take the plastic Easter eggs and hot glue the holes that are in some of them, and then put the Alka-Seltzer tablets and vinegar and shake them up and then have them pop so they explode. So you can do like theme days and just invite a bunch of kids over, and it's like a party, but it's like a STEM party. And that's where you can get out your like, okay, I'm doing my thing and I've done it and my kids have experienced it and I've shown the community that have been asking for it. And then you can do the arts and crafts with your kids, knowing that you've also done your duty.
I've accomplished that. Yeah, I think it comes to that I live and breathe STEM and that it's like work now. Like I've done it so much and it's like in everything I'm doing that when I'm hanging out at home, I like don't want to do it. Right? Like I'm just like, I need a break. I want to do something that requires no understanding of the phenomenon, right? We're just coloring in the lines. And if we want to talk about colors combining, great, we can get to that point, you know? So I basically need you to tell me not to feel guilty about
You
doing more science with my
definitely
kids.
know. I thought you were coming from the perspective of wanting to do STEM and not
No,
knowing
they
where.
don't.
Then don't
That's
do
why
it.
this is a therapy session and I'm confessing this on our podcast.
Do it. Yes. Well, you've come to the right place.
Thank you.
Everybody who is listening, all the STEM teachers, they're going to be judging you right now. And it's okay for you to just take that in. I'm just kidding. But yeah, not everything has to be a lesson.
Right,
You,
exactly.
you watch Bluey, right?
Yeah.
There's the one episode, I can't remember what it's called, Ragdoll, I think is what it is, where the Bluey and Bingo find some money and then they want to go to the corner shop and get ice cream. And Bandit acts like a rag doll and he's trying to teach them lessons the whole time while they're trying to get him into the car. And he keeps saying all these things and they're like, wait a minute, are you trying to teach us something? And he's like got all these little quotes and it doesn't matter. Like they're not going to take that away. They're just experiencing life. And that's, I think, one of the most valuable skills for little kids to have is just experiences. Coloring has its role because you learn about all the colors. You probably end up learning about mixing colors without even realizing it. But then later on, when you're actually having to learn about the things, color theory or mixing or different media, you have something to build upon. And so don't skip that. That's important. It's just like how we talk about don't skip the stage one STEM skills, communication and teamwork, because you can't do the hard stuff without doing the easy things. So don't feel guilty. Go color, Natasha.
Thank you. Okay, I feel better now. So with that, let's talk about STEM stuff.
Yeah.
So I had this, I'm going to do a complete switch here on you. I had this really interesting conversation today that I wanted to get your take on. So we're going to fast forward from the littles, from kindergarten to later, when we're thinking high school and careers. So I was talking with the San Antonio Manufacturing Association, and they're basically a group of all the who's who in manufacturing. So maybe like Toyota, for example.
Okay.
And so one of their concerns with the STEM education movement and the work that we're doing, not us particularly, but like in general, the things we're trying to promote in STEM and workforce development, is we're pushing kids towards this like engineering track is like the ultimate goal of everything, is for us to have more people become engineers and scientists. But often we talk about like engineering and engineering design process. And they're saying there are other alternative career pathways out there. And in fact, manufacturing has a huge skills gap of where they desperately need more people to go into manufacturing career pathways that don't require engineering degrees. And so they were trying to understand, how does manufacturing fit within the STEM education conversation?
I think that is huge and something that I think probably rural schools are doing a better job at exposing kids to. There are lots of programs in my area for kids to get certificates and things like welding or other manufacturing skills that I think are missed probably in a lot of bigger cities, maybe where they're not familiar with it as much. Woodworking is something that's kind of been weeded out of a lot of schools, which
Yeah.
I think is so valuable. I wish I would have taken that in school because now I'm trying to build something and I don't even know where to start with wood. But I remember when I went to work at a company as an engineer and I had to design a box that would hold something on an aircraft. And I designed it, I sent it down to the factory floor for R&D to create it, and then we'd do some testing on it. And I had somebody, one of the factory workers, come up to my office and he goes, uh, you can't make this. And I was like, well, yes, I can. I'm an engineer. Like I designed it.
I
And he was like,
designed it.
yeah. And I was like, it's on the computer. Like the computer, I made it on the computer. And he's like, no, like you literally cannot make a box like this. Like the corners are sharp. You can't bend metal with that kind of radius. Like it, and I just didn't know. I didn't have the manufacturing skills that I think colleges should spend more time getting kids aware of, because you can't have engineering without the manufacturing. Like they have to go hand in hand. So you can't design something that can't be made. I didn't know that you couldn't, like, how would you create the box? Because you have to have all the pieces fold correctly and holes needed to be punched a certain size because the machines only have specific size tools. So I think that communicating that in high school or even junior high, and not just these are the constraints of the materials that you have, but also how you design something, making sure you have those dimensions in there, and then maybe even assigning different roles in the teams of who's the manufacturer, who is the engineer, the designer, and that those are two separate people. Those are not the same. I know that we worked with some other people that were doing something with roller coasters, and they said, "Well, this engineer makes the roller coasters," and we'd be like, "No, they don't." No,
Right.
there's some other really skilled workers that are making that roller coaster. The engineer designs it, but you have some other people, a lot of people that are needed to actually build the thing. And I think
Yeah.
being able to show different factories, I know there was like some series, I'll have to find it and post it in the show notes, with YouTube videos about how things are made. Maybe that's how it's called,
Mhm.
what it's called, how stuff is made.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I think so.
shows the factories, and I think
Like
that's so
crayons, it's
cool. That's
candy. Yeah.
exactly what I was thinking of. And there's even some storybooks that talk about how different things were made, and I think just exposing kids of all ages to what manufacturing is and how it's different than engineering, but involves engineering would be really helpful in the long run.
Yeah. And I think it comes down to how engineering as like a course and a curriculum and this like engineering education movement has become so focused on this word engineering as a career versus
Mhm.
engineering as a discipline. So we don't teach science because we want every kid to be a scientist. We want them to understand and appreciate the natural world. And that's what we're trying to hear at Vivify is like the engineering side is this human made, designed, manufactured world that we think every kid should get an appreciation of. We are not saying they need to be engineers. And that's what I was trying to explain to them, but I feel like it's not something we really talk about. Usually it's like kids are in an engineering class because you're like, yeah, maybe someday they'll be engineers, like as if that is the ultimate goal. And we forget, at least my take is that it really is not the ultimate goal for everyone just to become an engineer.
Yeah, I don't want that. That would be kinda scary. There's too many engineers in my household right now, so definitely don't.
My family's all engineers.
Right.
Team up.
So, yeah, I definitely agree with you. We live in an engineered world, and I think gaining that perspective of we can't all be engineers, but we need to recognize the engineering, but you have different roles to play in that. And I think when we talk about teaching STEM through the lens of space exploration, that can kind of be a good way to demonstrate that because we talk about how space is for everyone and space exploration is going to need so many different types of jobs. And
Mhm.
engineering is kind of the same way. Engineering is kind of this big umbrella where, yes, you need actual engineers, but you also need the plumbers and mechanics and the welders and sandblasters, painters, all the people that make something happen. I mean, my husband actually worked at Toyota in San Antonio, and he thought it was amazing seeing the
I
different
didn't know that.
automation that was happening. You don't know that? He did a co-op during college
Oh, cool.
there. But there's just so many different roles, even the people that would work on the machines, like the robots that would then build parts of the vehicles. So there's just so many opportunities out there from even just the programming of robots or computer software people uh,
Right.
that I think it's again we talk all the time about exposing kids to STEM careers and that manufacturing is definitely one to include.
I agree. Yeah. Okay, so I'll give him that take when I go back.
Well, you have to send them this podcast episode. Maybe
There
that
we go.
don't take your word for it. Take our word
Oh,
for it.
yeah, it's officially on this podcast. Should have been
Yes.
like, "Hey, I was so based on that conversation we had the other day, here's a podcast I came across."
You're right. This is funny. Somebody also named Natasha.
Right.
So, how would what would you recommend happening to get more word out about manufacturing as part of engineering? Do you think there needs to be specific lessons for it, or how would you incorporate it?
Yeah, I feel like we just the foundational issue is how we're advertising, I guess, engineering education and the purpose of engineering. Um, I was trying to explain to them, like, our role in education is not to manufacture students. Like that, it's not an assembly line. We are not a factory model where we're inputting all these things into our kids' brains and preparing them for all these careers, right? Because their thinking is that. They're thinking if you can start them in like kindergarten, right, with these skills
No.
that we need and we input those skills and so then they're out ready to go work on a Toyota assembly line. That's just not my take on education. And so that's where I philosophically disagree with a lot of the workforce development argument. I think, yes, we should, career counselors, teachers that are helping advise kids on career pathways need the knowledge on what the different options are because often we promote college degrees, engineering degrees, right, for those top students when there are so many other amazing careers out there. But to me, that's a separate issue from how we teach kids in the classroom. And it doesn't need to be all about giving them these exact inputs for every kind of different career. And there's just a lot of kind of infighting on the industry side of like, no, we should do more of this, and no, we should do more of this. And that's where I'm just like, come on, like it's a 12-year-old. We don't need to teach them manufacturing skills. Like that is not important. What we need to teach, we've always talked about critical thinking, problem solving, an understanding of all these man-made objects and some basic principles that will prepare them for those different jobs. And honestly, for someone like Toyota, their best things they can do is engage with like a STEM early college high school or these high schools that are providing associate degrees like dual credit options, giving internships to high school students. I kind of put it on them. Like if they want to get more students, they come into the high school and provide that expertise. We should not expect our high school teachers to know every single career out there and how to pitch it and promote it. So that's my take.
Yes, I agree. Unfortunately, I don't know how many of our audience are professionals in the STEM workforce. I wish we could talk directly to them and be like, "Go talk to the kids. Tell them about your journey. Tell them about their options." Because I don't know about you, but I didn't even really know much about what I could do with my degree until I was even later years in college. And I had never even heard of trade schools when I was
Oh,
going into engineering. That wasn't a thing. So, I wish more universities even would go talk to high schoolers about options, but definitely, if you know, listeners, somebody who works somewhere, they should go talk to high schoolers, go into the classroom, talk to them about options because you just have to spread that word. It's a culture shift that we need to have happen.
right. I agree. And the story that I told them was when I took the job as STEM director at communities and schools, our goal was to serve underserved students. And I came in with an aerospace engineering background, like the traditional path. And that's just all I knew. So I was just promoting engineering as the pathway. And I was giving all these career presentations of like, look at the salary you can get. And these are like how much school you're going to need and all this. And I'm talking to students who don't have a lot of resources, don't have family that's been to college. And so it was someone like this guy from the manufacturing side was like, are you aware that there are other options and that are other pathways? And I was like, honestly, no. I had no idea that there was all these other pathways into the STEM workforce. So I guess to the audience is like, don't feel like you should know all of this because even like us as aerospace engineers are like, oh, there are like other pathways that are much easier, honestly, to get through. And you get taught some very specific skills that can start in high school, even on the aviation side with like flight simulators. Like there's some really cool stuff out there there's just so many different pathways for kids these days. And it's really exciting that we just don't promote it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I hope more people will engage with younger kiddos and help them out in figuring out the best pathway for their future. And Most likely not engineering.
But it might be.
It might be, yeah. Probably not, but it might be. Well, thanks, Natasha. I hope it's not another month before we get to chat
It
about
won't be.
awesome things. But for now, STEM space out.